All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to 1 Million Cups Eau Claire. This is Eau Claire's weekly entrepreneurial meetup. 1 Million Cups is a national movement founded by the Kauffman Foundation, and it is meant to celebrate entrepreneurship. In Eau Claire, we like to feature startups kind of in any phase of their business, and from concept phase all the way up to established businesses that are maybe making a pivot or a change in their business model. 1 Million Cups is aptly named over the 1 million cups of coffee that we're hopefully all enjoying on our own together. We usually provide coffee when we're doing these meetups in person, but hopefully everyone's got their caffeine right next to them while we enjoy our startup story today. So it's my pleasure to introduce Philip Norvold from Max Bilt Manufacturing. So I will have him kind of take over and tell us a little bit about his business.
Thank you for unmuting me. Hello, everybody. My name's Phil Norvold. I am the owner of Max Bilt Off-Road here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We are located just south of the Interstate I-94 on Highway 93. If you've ever driven by down by the corner store, we're the Quonset hut with a bunch of old rusty Jeeps sitting out front. Been in business since 2008. It actually kind of started a little bit prior to that. When I was going to CVTC for auto body, through the auto body program. My dad was chatting with me one day while I was doing that class looking for a class project, and he asked me to restore an old Jeep of his and paint it up. So I said, sure. And then kind of as I continued through that class, I did that. I enjoyed the Jeep when it was all done. Top down, cruising town, listening to tunes. Was just, I said, I want to make my life somehow around this, but I don't know how. So I sold everything I had vehicle wise, which wasn't much, and they were all pretty horrible, to buy an equally horrible old Jeep. And I made one for myself. During that whole process, I knew that if I wanted to build Jeeps for a small local community, Eau Claire is obviously not that and I was trying to find ways to penetrate the brand. I thought that to get my name known faster, maybe I needed to come up with some innovative products for the Jeep market to be able to help sustain a local shop. By like token, the other side of that was if I wanted to have a local shop and I only wanted to work on Jeeps, I needed another revenue stream to be able to supplement, the actual spinning wrenches side. So out of that idea was a center console was born. In the old Jeeps, no soft top, easily broken into, no place to be able to secure all your belongings. So we created one that also had a spot for a cell phone charger. We brought it something that vehicle didn't have up to the modern conveniences of today. LED lights, a spot for a stereo, everything covered under thick steel with durable powder coating. And so in 2008, when we kind of had that finalized, we brought that to a big event in Moab, Utah called the Easter Jeep Safari. And in my mind, of course, I'm like struggling up for days, getting the first production run of like 10 units together, and borrow a truck, borrow a trailer, slowly make our way across the country to exhibit at this event. And of course, I think we roll into town like 2 hours before show set up. We put everything out on the table, and I think we sold one. I go there, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is going to be the thing. And we're going to make it, and I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be able to have all the Jeeps I could ever imagine for all my friends. And that didn't happen. And so it was an enjoyable experience, and it was a blast of reality. And those hits just kept coming for the next 12 years, even now in 2020. It's all about your your viewpoint, your perspective on how all these different things are supposed to go. My expectations have certainly lowered and become more realistic throughout the years. But you just have to keep going, because what else are you gonna do? Even in the shop, we have a joke. A vehicle comes in for us to fix or repair or maintain, and oh man, just can't figure it out. So okay, so maybe we'll just stop. We'll just tell her, oh, call the customer up, say, yeah, I don't know. Like, take it somewhere else. Like, the job has to get done. We have the tools and we have the insight to do it. So you just have to do it and you have to push through. So we get back from that event. We realize that we got to keep working harder. I was still going to CBTC for business management at the time, and I'm learning about how to build a business by all the different classes that we would take, where we would have to pick an imaginary company. It was like, well, how about I just pick mine, because that's pretty much imaginary, and like I can't screw it up anymore. So I would do that, and then I think it was around 2010 when I got let go from my part-time job at Napa Auto Parts, where a good friend of mine and his now colleague Adam at one point had said, you got to like do something. You talk about it all the time, but you just got to. Would you just shut up about it and do it? Or don't. But I think he was sick of hearing about it. And I get that, like that was another person along the way that pushed to help me make that decision to just continue with it. And my wife too. Oh, hi Heather, I see you around there. She's been nothing but a support this whole time. And in 2010, when I graduated college, she was like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to like keep doing this Jeep thing, or are you going to get like a real job? And I'm like, I thought about it, and I said, well, I'm going to do like the Jeep thing. And so I was still, during those last few years, I would work at Napa, slinging auto parts, and then I would go to school, or I would go to school during the day. I'd work at Napa, and then I'd come home, and then I would work at home till all hours of the night. And then when I graduated, Stout has an incubation facility right there as a business development center. So I was able to spend 8 to 10 months. My timelines are screwy. I spent some time there, maybe a year, and but it was. So I would spend my 8 to 5 at the university working with some of the industrial design students, but mainly building the manufacturing portion of my business, growing the products, the reach of designing, developing, building contacts, making the phone calls to suppliers all over the country and the world to try to have them purchase my wares, and not ones and twos, but wholesale them, and let's get you to stock our products. And so I spent that time there, and then I would come home, and then I would wrench on customer vehicles, and I'd do anything. We still do anything. We're not too proud to do an oil change. We're pressure washing a conveyor system for Nestle right now because they needed somebody to get the job done. Well, we'll do it. We have a pressure washer, and we're able. So, and if you were going to pay us, we will do it. So I would be wrenching all night, and then of course my wife got pregnant with our son Jackson, and the 2:30 in the morning welding fumes, sifting through the house from the shop or garage. She said, "All right, you got to do something," and it's time to move the shop. So then I moved, and I rented from a gentleman called Gary Baxter out on the west side of Eau Claire, and for me it was a huge step. Now I have an actual shop. I have one bay of like a multiple bay building, and then I had an office, and I had an area to build product. And during that time, we spent a lot more time building dream vehicles, customized. Like we'll do. If you can dream it, we can build it, and we don't care how crazy it is. We took a 1950s old military telephone communications vehicle, which has this big utility box on the back, and we we built that into we called it the trail recovery rig for a customer. And uh, we would drag, and like that box turned into tools and tool chests and a welder and a air compressor, everything organized neatly on this thing, so you could go help people on the trails. Or it was pretty cool. So, and then we would take that to that event in Moab, or we would take it to different shows around the country to help build our brand. And we put the hard work in, but then we go play and we have some fun. And my goal was to be able to create an environment where I can work with my friends that all have, and obviously people breed like people, right? And so my friends have a lot of the same type of work ethics and ideals that I do. So that they say don't do business with friends. Make sure you have good friends. I don't know if I agree with that, because I've proven that to be the case. It's not easy. You have to have that understanding and be able to have the hard conversation. But as long as you do that and you communicate, it's great. It's great to go to work every day with people that that you also want to hang out with outside of work. Because then also, if you're like me, your work is your life, and it all is encompassing. And I don't feel like I'm working every day. So we were in that facility. This is what happens to me, right? We were in that facility renting from Gary. We were there for a year and a half till 2012, when he also was like, man, you guys work like around the clock and you're messy and you just maybe need your own place. So we scoured the area. I thought never in a million years could I afford like a place on a highway or anything like that. And then the facility we're at right now, my friend Joe Thompson, used to be Joe's Southtown Motors. He wanted to sell everything and move to Hawaii. We struck a deal that made sense. I got to understand the layering of companies. So Max Bilt shouldn't just buy this property, but you should protect that investment by forming another company of a properties company, and this property. And of course, like, I need money and I'm trying to figure it all out. So we're like, well, let's rent it out. We'll just rent it out to somebody. We'll rent out anything. Like, I'll rent anything out at that point, like, because I'm just freaking out trying to think of how I'm going to pay a mortgage now. And we figure that out, and that house actually now is developed into a state-funded group home for my cousin, Heather's cousin, our cousin, John Esslinger. He owns Great Lives LLC, and he takes care of mentally challenged men, and they live there. And it's cool because the guys come over and they hang out, and not so much in the last year with COVID, but they'd come over and do garbages and just be a part of the crew when they can. And then we were in this facility, and it was just me and then one employee, Riley, who wasn't really even an employee. I paid him in smokes and lunch every day. And then in 6 months, it was like, I think I can pay you a wage. Like, how cool is that going to be? And so we kind of went through that, and then had some issues with the tax stuff. And I've I've learned everything the hard way, because I never have time to like research the stuff that I probably should have researched to begin with until it's a problem, and then you figure it out. That seems to be my MO, but it's been working so far. If it's really important, somebody's going to tell me. And so then in 2012, in 2016, we expanded, or 15 timetables. We built a whole other building that houses our off-road shop and our general service. And then this last fall, we did a massive remodel on the office building, because now we house another entity called Legends Marketing. And so to kind of give you a breakdown of where we're at today, and the services we provide, Max Bilt Off-Road is, we build crazy custom vehicles and custom fabrication. We also do simple lift kits, wheels and tire upgrades. We put those kayak racks on so you can go out and get lost in the woods. Especially now with COVID, there's a lot of, we're doing bike racks, we're doing kayak racks where people are spending a little bit more money, making their vehicles more adventure worthy. So we're doing a lot of that. We also do, for general automotive repair and maintenance. We're a TechNet facility, which we work with Advanced Auto Parts and CarQuest. We are one of, I think, close to 12,000 shops, independent owned shops like ourselves, nationwide, that if you have work done at our shop, a brake job, an oil change, a water pump, any of those kind of things, and say you take a road trip to Texas and there was an issue with the repair or an issue with the part, which it's life, things happen. You can just look up that a TechNet shop near you, one of the 12,000, and it's covered under parts and labor covered under warranty. Also, there's roadside assistance. It's a fantastic program to allow us to give you as a customer peace of mind, but then also compete with some of these bigger chains and give those guys a run for their money. Especially now, what I see with COVID, this the small guy, the independent guy, the entrepreneur, the driven individual, the guy who has passion, the gal who has passion, who just wants to scream their story from the mountaintop. That's who's winning right now. And because of that, and we saw that, and as when we became on board with TechNet, we saw an issue with nobody knowing what it is and nobody knowing that brand, or nobody understanding that you can get that peace of mind that you feel that you get at a dealership from a small guy. You can shop local now, but still get all of those perks. So we had some conversations with some of the top brass at Advanced Auto Parts about how we can make this more impactful. And it sounds like it. So we formed Legends Marketing, which is a grassroots style marketing firm where it's think locally, act globally, and that embracing the storytelling of, because just like 1 Million Cups, everybody wants to hear the story. Everybody wants to know what drives everybody, because then all of a sudden now you've got a connection, and in the ways that we can do this on Facebook and the way that we can do this on Zoom, we can connect without having to physically connect, but then that creates an urge or a drive for that consumer to feel that they're actually making a difference when they shop local. They're seeing what happens when those bottom lines increase, because there's people like me and there's millions of others that when we succeed, we all succeed, because that's what makes me happy. It isn't the money, it's the opportunity to continue to come to work every day with the crew that I get to come to work to, and to know that the difference that I'm making is affecting other families. That's, you want to talk about there's no better feeling. So again, digressing a little bit. So that's our marketing side. And then on our manufacturing revenue stream is all of our parts and products. And it's bar none the highest quality products that we can produce in our means, from LED taillights to secure storage products. It's not a huge product line. We've probably got 20 SKUs, but everything we pour our heart and soul into. And we've got 2 young guys from the Elk Mound area that kind of head up the manufacturing. I've got 2 technicians, as well as a younger kind of apprentice technician from Elk Mound out in the shop. I've got Max Bilt has a full-time marketing firm, or marketing guy, Tommy Rada, CBTC grad. And he works also very closely with Jamie Klein, who's a CBTC grad as well. Or Jamie Kane. She's married now. I've known her for a long time. They're laughing at me. And she kind of runs the Legends Marketing, and she's the kind of the liaison and strategist with the corporate lingo, so that Max Bilt doesn't lose their identity, helping consult and create ways to further their brand. And then we just brought on Nate, who is kind of like our he's Tommy and Jamie's helper, helps edit videos and data management on all of that. So we have kind of 3 for Legends, and then there's 9 of us over on Max Bilt, because then there's Dave. He answers the phones. He's usually the first one you see when you walk through the door. And then Adam, he handles a lot. He's kind of more of our project manager. We call him the coup. He's the chief of operations, but he definitely manages our larger projects, because if it's left to me, it's a shit show. Oop, pardon that. Because I'm constantly moving on to whatever's next, and I'm doing things like this often. So I don't know how long that was. I hope I fit it all in. That's my story. And I guess now I think we move it on to Q&A.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Phil. So for those of you that are on the Zoom call, feel free to open up the participants tab and raise your hand to ask questions. And if you don't want to ask on camera, you can always drop them in the chat there, and then I can intersperse them. So question from Brett that he sent me. He's an e-commerce guy. So hearing your story and about your personal development, it sounds like a lot of lone wolf style discovery that you did. His question is, how do you feel about local e-commerce and digital resources in Eau Claire? And do you think it's lacking? And then for you, did you go at it alone, or were you able to access any local businesses doing what you're doing, to kind of learn about them and hear about what they did to kind of become what they are?
So, and I think it's more like geared kind of more towards the e-commerce side, like as far as our e-commerce, how did we grow our e-commerce, and how did we, okay. All of it was really trial and error and organic. Even our Facebook following, we've got, I think, 15,000 or 18,000 on Facebook that follow our brand, which for a local company is pretty good. For a national brand, meh. But we also didn't participate in the purchasing of likes and follows that was a huge thing 10 to 5 years ago, 4 years ago. They just kind of found it out recently that that's a thing. I mean, and I didn't have money to buy likes. You kidding me? Like, I don't know, like my stuff or don't. And so, and as far as like, we really, I would say we relied more on our like sales of our products, because I didn't know jack about e-commerce, other than like, I don't know, like GoDaddy or HostGator or something, and Magenta, and I don't know how that works, but like maybe I'll just plug these things in and maybe I'll sell a couple things. And that's kind of what has now evolved into Tommy's doing a lot more research with Google AdWords and meta tagging. And we've reached out to some industry specific to us out of California, smaller gal who, she's like, oh, we do all the data management and we can package everything and make it easier for other vendors to download your data and put it up on their websites. I still don't know if I'm doing it right, but so if there's a way to, if locally, I didn't focus on that. That was not something. We were selling things. I just know that I can sell more.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Like, I think your whole startup story is really interesting because it was a lot of trial and error that you did, but you also had a really good base of knowledge from the tech, correct?
Yeah, between the tech school and then transferring over to the business management program as well at Stout. So between those two, I will say that like I do reflect much more on like our 15 years out of college ish. I remember more from CVTC than Stout. Like when I think about like my college experience, I feel like once I got to CVT or Stout, it was a lot more focused. I know what I want. I know what I need. Whatever's coming in from assignments or teaching, I'm just trying to get it done while I'm in class so that I can manage my time when I leave to be able to handle all these other things. Obviously, you think I felt when I left, it was like, puh, it was a joke. There you go, Mom. Here's your piece of paper I said I was going to get. Looking back, it was all important because there are plenty of things that I wouldn't have known, or the way to research what I'm to not take no for an answer or whatever it is, that if I didn't go through those steps, I wouldn't probably be where I am in the same light, and I wouldn't have the same people surrounding me.
Excellent. Make sure that if you have questions, you're raising your hand in that participants tab. There's a question from Beth here. Does the company have any official or unofficial company values or beliefs, personal values or beliefs that guide your decision making?
The right thing to do is always the hardest. I guess that's there's an easy way out, but that's why they call it the easy way out. And you know, we've dabbled with vision and philosophy, and just do the right thing. I mean, it's simple. We keep it really simple. You know, if you wanted to it's the treat others how you want to be treated. Do the right thing. It's always going to be harder, but just if you're ever on the fence, go with the harder option, because you know that that's going to be right.
Phil, where do you see yourself going from here? Do you see yourself focusing in one area of what you're doing, or do you see yourself kind of diversifying the offerings that you have and expanding the business that you have by bringing on more people, maybe with specific focuses?
So we do have some expansion opportunities, and I wrote something about this. Might have been the first time when I tried to sign up and then it all got deleted. But right now we're on the flirting with the growth and policies and procedures. I can't stand corporate world because policies and procedures suck. But then if you don't have them, that's even equally as worse, as bad. And so we've created an environment that's fun to work in and is light and airy, but at the same time, we still need focus and direction. And so what do we do to implement that, but not make it so well, did you get the memo? Oh, please give your TPS reports. That's not what we do. But we're having meetings and we're starting to use terms like AR and AP and sounding oh, I get why businesses evolve like that. So are we going to grow? Yes. That's that's an inevitable part of growth that I'm struggling with, and trying to find ways to maybe call them something different so they don't sound so corporate. But also, as far as now that we're kind of settled and things have kind of calmed down from some of our expansions and we're getting okay with that, yeah, we're going to add more to the pot. We're adding some more products to our product line for some of the new vehicles. Where our marketing firm is trying to take another initiative, or we really want to push the stories of local businesses. And so we'll actually be probably reaching out to you guys now that we have this connection. See, networking. We want to host and showcase some businesses to tell their story, interview them, give them some social media content and a plan to be able to, because what we see is that there's a lot of people that well, I can't do that social thing because what am I going to say? Well, just be you, just be real. And just like this, blah, here's something. So we want to do a kind of just a deck. We want to try it. And I think it's going to work. And then probably 2021 or later this fall, we'll offer that as a service to local businesses. So there's that. And then the shop just keeps hammering things out. We're always, willing to take on new projects or products. And of course, we look to the community to think about us when they need vehicle work or repairs done.
Awesome. Becca asked, also Brett says, yeah, that sucks that you need to develop the processes, but it's totally necessary, and he totally understands where you're at with that. So definitely some agreement from the crowd there. Becca asked, talk about your target market. Are you getting lots of local business mixed with nationwide customers? And then what's your ideal mix of customers?
Our ideal mix is anybody that has a vehicle or a Pulse. No, so yeah, we tend to we find that, like, 40 to 60-year-old guys were fulfilling a lot of their dreams with these big crazy projects. We also 30-year-old dude that's got some ching, we put a Hellcat motor in a 4-door Wrangler and made that thing do 150 miles an hour. So it is all over the board. It's automotive enthusiasts, but it's also, we're seeing now a lot more families that are kind of maybe getting back to those roots of out going camping, going bike riding, like the idea of having that Jeep. I'm excited for the new Bronco that's coming out. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's pretty sweet. I'm a Jeep guy through and through, but the Bronco's nice. And Toyota owners, like, that's another whole niche market that like we are a part of. We are the off-road shop. We are the 4-wheel drive specialists, but that also means that we're the adventure specialists. We're the fun guys. We're making inroads with guys like Nick down at Stash Bike and Adventure because like his business and our business, they make sense to work together. And obviously, as far as like on our general repair, I have something for everybody. You walk through my door, I'll find a way that we can work together. But the general repair and maintenance is, we have the ability, because we have the technicians and we have the vehicles, and we're not always building 20, 30, 40, $50,000 adventure vehicles. So it's nice to supplement with that $200 brake job or that $70 oil change. And on that, like, students are a big one, especially with the like the TechNet program, because there's a lot of students that are not local. So, but if they have their vehicle serviced here, there's a TechNet service station in their hometown guaranteed. So they can be taken care of kind of anywhere. So I don't know if that answers it or if it makes it more confusing, but we can help you.
I'm going to go to Liz, and then I'll get to a couple other questions in the chat. So Liz.
All right. Thank you, Adam. Good morning. Hi, Phil. Thank you for presenting. Great job. So my question goes to your custom work that you do. And basically my question is, since it sounds like you do quite a variety of custom work, do you ever struggle streamlining those processes because they do vary so much? And then tell me more about how you do your pricing and kind of just how you go about calculating it when these crazy, weird one-off jobs come into your shop. How do you make sure that's still profitable for you and your team?
Great questions. Let's get to the profitability one in a minute. It's because that's not really as exciting as it probably could be. But as far as the efficiencies, actually, I did something, and this is more on our manufacturing side, but we learned a lot and we implemented a lot of that into the shop itself. I hired a guy as a consultant. His name was Russ. He came in when we did our remodel to take a look at all of our processes of building our products and building an efficiency strategy, and then implementing that into stations, bins, the whole lean manufacturing bit, which again, like I had, it's put me where you need me. I had that background from college, and that was something that I was able to relate to those conversations that I would have with him from my time at Stout. But also, like, that's not my job. It's not my job every day. But I know that I can figure out what needs to happen as long as I can put that person in place. He came in, and it was not cheap, but that, that 10 grand or whatever it was, we've made it back just by taking away steps. But what we've also done is, even though it was always a joke around the shop, well, you're taking too many steps. You don't want to take too many steps to be able to go from here to here. Well, but that's still ingrained in our heads. And so when we're working out in the other shop, we're organizing things differently. and we've created stations for the shops to be more efficient. However, when it comes to the custom work and you want to say, because a lot of times we get that, how do you build custom builds? It's time and materials. So we have now put our time in, and there are still opportunities where we give a ballpark. We say, that's going to be 100 hours, and at night that's, at $90 an hour, like, to do the math, it's a lot of money. Are you interested? If you're still interested, all right, let's talk about it. And usually if we start settling down on things, it's also construction or home remodeling is very, very similar, and pricing is very similar. If it costs $10,000 for parts, more than likely it's going to cost $10,000 to put it all together. Unless it's that, but this one part was, $9,999, and you just have to snap it in. So by being very unprofitable for the first 10 years, we're able to become profitable now because we are professionals, we are masters, we know that, and a lot of that even stems from Adam and my eyes, like, because we used to do a lot of the work. Now we can tell our technicians all the shortcuts to be able to make sure that it's streamlined. So if that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
Brett asked, Phil, what's your superpower? It sounds like you have your hands in a lot. What do you do best in your business?
Freak out. I freak out really well. I problem solve. Like, I am the guy, like, give me your problems, I will help you find a solution. And I think that was just like by happenstance, but I enjoy that, and I enjoy going from person to person to person and empowering them to help, like, to think critically and make that decision, so that by doing that more and more, hopefully, we can spend more time being creative, but still being efficient.
And then John asked, where do you get your inspiration from, and what keeps you and your employees on their toes creatively?
I lost you at the last word. What keeps us on our toes creatively?
Yes.
Got it. I mean, I don't know. We just try to have fun. This has been an interesting year. We travel a lot. We spend a lot of time together, which costs a lot of money. But so that definitely, like, if you look at the bottom line, it's probably like, how is that even a thing? Why we reinvest that money into, I take 5 guys with me to go to a show in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Well, why? Well, because it's fun. It's fun. We all get to see things. We all get to gather inspiration from, whether it's vehicles, but or just any of it. And we have a lot of meetings. We stand around. We chit chat a lot. Everybody is creative in their own right, and I think it's just, that, for example, like John, you know our crew, you know what we're all about, and hey, John, like, I'm looking for somebody. Well, he knows kind of the type of person that's going to mesh with us too. So that, then there was Tommy, and then I knew Jamie was going to be a great fit because of her creative personality, but also her ability to manage. Because, creative is great, but typically what goes hand in hand is, like, not manageable. So there, and Adam is he's very creative, but also very pragmatic and, like, focused on getting jobs done. If you come work here, you lose some of that just because I am so all over the map. But I think it's just we feed off each other, and we gather our inspiration from other people.
And I mean, it sounds like you're investing time, energy, and resources into your employees. And I mean, that would keep me on my toes creatively if my company does invest time in me. And so that is that's a really great thing for my professional development, and then also my longevity with the company. So
Right.
I think that's a really great thing.
Creating that comfortable working environment and think like, like Tommy, hey man, like I want to get this video done, but like I can't do it here. All right, go to your cabin, tune out the world, and like do your thing. And yeah,
It's awesome.
letting people do that.
Brooke.
I just want to talk about that dog real quick. Who is that?
The dog?
No, there's a dog, a Boston Terrier that.
Oh, Tommy's on here.
Oh.
That's Finn.
Adorable.
I really do have a question, but I love dogs. I'm like, who is that little thing? I digress. So, Phil, I'm glad you brought up some parallels between what you do and construction. I work for a construction firm, and so I was actually kind of taking notes as you were talking about parallels between our company and your company. So I guess one question I have is, you are an expert in what you do. Merwood Construction is an expert in what we do. However, sometimes it feels like people push the easy button and go with a different contractor because they don't want to take the time to learn about a better option for themselves. Where with you, like, how do you keep people from going to a dealership because that's the easy button, like, oh, I drive by blah and I don't want to deal with finding a new one? How do you get people to come to you because you really are the expert?
Fire your customers. No, there's a whole thought process there. No, I actually had this conversation Monday night. I just started getting into mountain biking again, which has been fun. And I was riding around with a couple other guys, and so I'm very forward when we put a bid out. Happened to be talking about a customer that we lost the bid to another shop. That does phenomenal work, and I love the owner. We're great friends. But I said, well, it's going to be 30 grand. We'll just make up numbers. It's going to be 30 grand, and we're going to do this, 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 and this. Well, I was hoping to spend 15. Okay, I just know how it's going to go, man. Like, it's going to go from this into this into this into this into this into this. If you're comfortable here, we can do the whole project. If you're not, I could tell you we could do it for 12, and then you're going to keep upselling yourself and we'll be at 30 grand. This is kind of how it works. Well, then I feel better. We feel better having that conversation up front. And if we lose that client because of that, as difficult as that may be, we could have dodged a bullet, and we did dodge the bullet, because then, that's how much the other customer spent, and it took way longer, and it became a fiasco. But sticking to your guns and allowing customers to shop around is okay. That if you're as good as you say you are, which I believe it because you were able to say it, they'll come back. And if they don't, did you really need them as a client? Which is difficult. You don't know that. And if they did push the easy button, they're going to know it too. And they may not ever need anything ever again, but if they did, they're going to remember who told them all of the things and all of the ways why it can be really difficult. So that's that thought.
Awesome. Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. Is there anybody else that would like to ask a question or have any other thoughts on today? Not looking like it. So thank you, Phil. We always ask the last question of our presenters. What can we as a community do for you? Well,
You can go to your phone or your computer, since you're already on it, and look up Max Bilt, MAXBILT, on Facebook. Give us a like. That way, as we're spreading information about things we're doing in the community, or just anything, if you like what the content that we put out, give us a thumbs up and spread the word. That's all I can ask for.
Awesome. And for those of you that are joining us on Facebook today, that is linked right in the video. So you can feel free to click that tag and give Max Bilt a like. All right. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you again, Phil, for sharing your story and telling us about your awesome business. We'll be back again next week, same time, same place. If you're joining us on Facebook and would like to join the Zoom call, you can feel free to sign up for the 1 Million Cups Eau Claire newsletter, and you'll receive the Zoom link every week for that. So thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you again next Wednesday at 9.